I want to thank our sponsor, Runway 25, which we are very proud to be working with, as they are a veteran-owned company that creates stunning aviation coins, patches, key rings and prints that showcase military services from around the world. If you love the Tornado, you can now own their high-quality PVC Tornado Farewell Patch, Tornado GR pin and the stunning Tornado Farewell coin set. Make sure you head over to their website at runway25.com to check out all their amazing products. Thank you and enjoy. So Mandy, you probably have many, but can you share a memorable story about your time on the GR4? One that sticks out really well in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I share it in my book actually, but one of the big ones for me was we were on, it was my last time out in the Gulf, and we were coming back to base. I was going home the next day, and I was leading a 4-ship, and we got engaged by a surface-to-air missile, and it was a really unusual place because the sort of main roads between Al-Basra in the south east corner and Baghdad, those main routes were always busy, and there's quite a few surface-to-air missiles dotted around, lots of AAA, the anti-aircraft artillery sites as well. But once you got along the Saudi Arabia border, there was like very little there. Yeah, and there hadn't been for months, and nothing had happened. And so we started to relax. We're going home. We're starting to, take out the program of we're in a high threat environment. And that's literally when someone blooming well launched a surface-to-air missile at us. And it was in a heat-seeking mode, so we didn't get all of the normal radar returns that you would get that it's looking at you. And my nav was absolutely brilliant. He happened to spot it. We did the maneuver that we've been taught so many times. We put our flares out, and the missile took the flares, and it exploded a few miles away from us. But then the whole complexity of the mission changed because, we radioed through what had happened, and, the way it works out there is that once an aggressive act is made towards any one of the aircraft, you are then entitled in some ways to go and prosecute an attack on a target that you're carrying. Okay. And that has to be cleared obviously through the chain of command. So we contacted the commander who's in the AWACS aircraft. He told us to stand by. Everyone is suddenly on red alert now, but it's right at the end of the mission and we're running out of fuel. So, we have to go and find a tanker down in Saudi Arabia. And the complexity just kept on spiraling. The weather was deteriorating. There was a bit of a sandstorm around.
Oh, no.
And really, it's almost like this, all of the little, holes in the Swiss cheese were starting to align. But It was a complex mission. And, we did destroy the target that we were given that night. Mm-hmm. But there were so many little twists and turns that I share, in much more detail in my book. But it was, that was certainly a very memorable night.
Wow, that does sound quite intense. So, Mandy, how many hours did you get on the GR4?
I got about 1,000, just under 1,000 hours, which is such a shame because I didn't get my 1,000-hour badge, which was gutted about. But, so I was just coming up to the end of my tour when I got pregnant, basically. And you can't fly when you're pregnant. So I then went into a second-line job at Boscombe Down after I'd had my children, which was fantastic. And so I did a tour down at Boscombe Down for that then.
So we're going to move on now, Mandy. We've got a couple of questions from a patron here, if you're happy to answer them.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is from Noel Rodriguez. As a general question, what is your personal checklist procedure when you feel tempted to give up in times of personal challenge?
I think it's always about focusing on your purpose and your end goal. And you know what? There were so many times when it seemed that the odds were stacked against me, even down to when I first applied. I mean, this was unbelievable. At the age of 16, first applied for a flying scholarship, and I went. And I was a really fit, 6 foot tall, really healthy young girl. And basically, the height chart only went up to about 5'8". And so when they looked at the scales, they said, "Oh my goodness, you're obese." And I was like, "Well, look at me, I'm not obese." I was playing county sport. I was literally as fit as a fiddle. And they said, "No, you're suffering from an obesity problem." And they said, you're meant to be 9 3/4 stone. And I was 12, I'm not 6 foot tall. I was 12.5 stone, which was really healthy weight. And well, we won't give you a scholarship until you lose the weight. So you can imagine at 16, suddenly you're like, got to focus. And that was really tough. And again, at that point, you're thinking, I've got to focus. But it was always, what's the end purpose? Why am I doing it? And I'm doing it because I want to achieve a goal. And I think the more you focus on that end goal, you know, or even if it's incremental steps, because do you know what? Sometimes an end goal is too big. It might be, I just need to find the next level. And just as long as you're always progressing forward, I think that's the important thing. And it's, you know, I speak at a lot of schools and they sort of say, oh, but it's just such a big thing to want to be a pilot. You know, how can I do it? I said, well, what's the next thing that you could do? And they said, oh, no, I could join the air training club. Yeah, there's your first stepping stone. So it's all about the stepping stones and achieving those small wins, and that keeps you positive.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people see like whatever, like a pilot or some high level job. It's just like, oh, it's impossible, so I'm not even going to try. Yeah. But there's always a step, and then you just go up like a ladder. And
yeah, absolutely. And you just got to break them all down. And it's the same in business, isn't it? You know, you're setting up a business. It just feels absolutely monumental. And suddenly you break it down to the incremental steps. And there's something that you can always do to be moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one from Noel. What was it like flying the Tornado in DACT against other aircraft?
Well, to be honest, you don't actually do the Tornado, because the Tornado F3 is the fighter. They would do a lot more practicing, you know, DACT. Whereas for ourselves, you don't really do much at all. So I can't think of a time when we would do air combat against another one. I mean, we do very minimal air combat anyway. So yes, that's that. But so it's I'm sorry, our printer's just
I'm leaving that in, that's great.
Gosh. Oh, sorry, just turning it off. There we go.
There we go. And this is from an anonymous patron. Did you ever go supersonic in the Tornado? And if so, did you do it often?
You don't do it often, actually, no, because when you're normally carrying stores, so it's very infrequently you actually, you know, can go supersonic because of the stores that you're carrying. Bizarrely, one of the best ones I've done supersonic was in the Tornado F3, actually. I hate to say this.
Oh, no.
The almost going to go, what? And I went flying with a colleague, a wonderful woman, Sue Freeman, and she was an instructor as well. And basically, afterwards, I was looking after maintaining all the flight reference cards and the aircrew document sets and things. And she said, well, it would be good for you to have an insight into the F3 because you're so familiar with the GR4. So she took me flying and she said, we've got nothing on, man. Should we, as in nothing, there were no stores on the aircraft. Fancy doing some low level high speed over the sea. So it was all very, you know, correct. But my goodness, I think we hit 1.2 going over the sea, over the North Sea. And it was phenomenal. But the weird thing is when you're going through the speed sound through Mach 1, you don't really know it in the jet. You know, there's nothing apart from seeing the machometer going above 1.
So there's no slight buffer or anything like that?
No, not really, because I mean, maybe a slight buffeting, but it's nothing. The sound barriers, boom, it's gone behind you. It's not there, and you're not here. So yeah.
Brilliant. So we're going to move on. I want to congratulate you on your release of your new book, An Officer, Not a Gentleman.
Do you mean?
Yes, that one. You've got one handy. Yes, that's the one. Yeah. So, Mandy, tell us about the book, how it started and how long it took to write.
Well, it's, the words labour of love come out on this one without a doubt, Mike. So, I think anyone that thinks I'll write a book, you think, I've got lots of stories. Yeah, it'll be easier. I can say it's not. It takes so much longer than you think it'll take. So I worked in collaboration, actually, with a great friend of mine from university who's a journalist. Rob. So he knew me really well. He knew my humour. He knew my voice, which is really important. So the two of us in really close collaboration got the book together. And he's a really talented writer as well. So with his help, we managed to produce the end product. It took about 3.5 years from starting to actually getting it out there. It's challenging. I think one of the big pauses for us was we tried to go down the publishing route. We got a literary agent and we sent it off to these publishers. And I've got to share my first rejection letter I'm going to tell you what they said. It said,
brilliant. Sure.
Plain books. They called it a plain book.
Plain book.
Plain books are for a male readership who would have no interest in a woman's story.
What?
Quote unquote.
Wow.
And I just got this rejection letter and I thought, are we still in this world? You know, you want to talk about biases. I could not believe, this was just 2 years ago, that they had sent that out to me. I thought, this is appalling. I mean, I was genuinely shocked. And all I ever need, I love that though, little red rag to the bull.
Yeah, spurred you on.
Yeah, it spurred me on. And I thought, well, that's it. So I ended up self-publishing it. Found myself a fantastic guy to do all the formatting, and he came up with the brilliant front cover, which I
love the front cover. It's
love
brilliant.
it. So, you know, he's done a great job. And I think coming together as the whole package, it's been really exciting, but it did take me a lot longer than I thought. So at first, I never planned to write a book at all. But because I do a lot of motivational speaking and keynote speaking, one of the questions every single person would ask is, have you written a book? And when's it going to be out? And I was like, I just kept saying no. Oh, no, I could. And I did the classic. I kept saying, no, I'm not a writer. No, I couldn't do that. And then I started saying, maybe I could. And then I started to say, well, I might do. Yes. In the future, I might, you know. Mm-hmm. And then I started saying, yeah, I will write a book. And so once you start saying you will, you think, no, I've got to.
Yeah, I've got to now.
Actually, I thought, well, yeah, it's time to get that story down. And you know what? If it can act as an inspiration. I mean, originally I was thinking it would be, and I think one of the interesting things is, you know, it's really easy to put people into boxes. And I've never been one to be put in a box, quite literally. You know, they want to compartmentalize. And I think when we were trying to get it out to the publishers, they said, well, what's the genre? Who is it for? Young, old, you know, male, female. I was like, well, it's for everyone. And they were going, no, that doesn't work. You can't get a book that a teenager would read and the older generation would read. And I said, well, it does work, because I literally speak to all of those audiences, from primary school to my lovely ladies of the WIs. You know, I speak to them all the time. Plus, oh, hold on a minute, C-suite executives in the middle, you know, out in, you know, wherever, America. So, yeah, it does. The story works. And storytelling is the most powerful tool for getting messages out there. And actually, to reflect it in the book, guess what? The messages are all there, but they're all wrapped up in some brilliant stories.
Yeah, so is it a general, is the premise of the book your career? Is it about the GR4 itself? Tell us a bit about the book itself.
Yeah, so we skip over my early years very, very quickly, in literally a matter of sort of 4 pages, I think. And we progress as quickly as we can to get to the meat of it, which is, I thought it would be interesting to share the flying training and, yeah, all the different bits that you do on top of the training, things like the survival training that you have to do. And you do that at each stage of training as well.
That sounds terrifying, by the way.
Well, the conduct after capture course is a very interesting course. Yeah, that is challenging. That's your classic, you know, SAS Who Dares Wins. You're doing that, you know, and it is intense. I think the RF said that there was a 10-year currency on this course, and everyone that did it went, if you ever make me do it again, I'm going to leave.
I'm leaving.
So, yeah, that was challenging. But, yeah, the premise of the book is it progresses as quickly to the flying, gives a little bit of meat about the flying training, just out of interest for people as well. And then, you know, it really does cover those tornado years, which, you know, are of great interest. And there's some fantastic flying scenes in there. You really can be, I mean, when we've got the dogfighting scenes going on when we're at RAF Valley, you know, it's exciting. You know, it really is sort of Top Gun on the page, which is fantastic. And I feel that I've really captured, you know, the journey I went through. And I'm not using that as in a, you know, Simon Cowell sort of way, but, you know, actually it really was a journey. There were ups and downs, but there were loads of funny incidents as well. And there's quite humour in the book. So, yeah, I'm having some wonderful feedback already from all over the world, actually. And, you know, from a lot of men who seem to have an interest in a woman's story, which is nice. But also because it's about flying. You know, why wouldn't you be interested in that? You know, and
of course, yeah.
Even younger audiences are saying, this is exactly the book I want to be reading to inspire me to fulfill my dreams too.
But moving on, is there pictures in the book of your flying career?
Yeah, there are. So unfortunately, I couldn't get them in colour. You can't do that on print on demand.
Of course, yeah.
But if you get it on an ebook, you can watch it or look at it. Sorry, on Kindle, where of course it'll be black and white. But if it's on a tablet, they're all in colour as well. So there's a whole patch in the middle, about 12 pages of all the different different photos, you know, from me being literally an innocent 13-year-old air training corps cadet down to, me on the front line and some of the missions that we were on.
Brilliant. So could you tell our viewers where we can find the book?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon basically, and you can just download it as well. So it's on Kindle, but you can purchase it on Amazon. So just type in "An Officer, Not a Gentleman."
So Mandy, do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, lots actually. So I love tennis. I'm a really keen tennis player, so I do that about 2 or 3 times a week if I can. My passion is skiing, and the new passion from lockdown is now mountain biking. So, you know, we've got these sort of, you know, cross bikes, and we thought we live here on the south in Winchester on the South Downs Way, and so as all the gyms had shut, we said, well, why don't we get back into doing it? Oh my goodness, I am loving it. And guess what? I'm loving the thrill of going downhill very, very fast with a slight risk. I'm like, I should perhaps be a bit more sensible.
Yeah. So this could be an easy one or a difficult one for you, Mandy. Favourite aircraft you have flown?
I think it would have to be the GR4. Yeah, it's so close to my heart. But the Hawk would definitely be up there, because the thing I love about the Hawk is it's a sort of such a easy aircraft to operate. You know, the Tornado's got much more complexities. It takes you 45 minutes before you can get it going in the Tornado, whereas a Hawk, you can almost get in, kick the tires, light the fires, and off you go, sort of feel to it. But obviously in a very professional manner, I mean. But it feels like the sports car of the fast jet world, the Hawk, and because it's got quite a short nose as well, you feel like that rush. You do feel like you're going incredibly fast in it as well. It's fantastic.
And is there an aircraft you wish you could have flown?
I'm not going to say the Harrier. Absolutely.
Yeah, don't say that. No.
I'm not going to say that. No. I would have loved. Actually, I mean, Eurofighter was coming out at the time, and a couple of my colleagues were going on to Eurofighter, and I did go in the sim, and I did manage to get a trip on one. And I then signed up as a volunteer reservist. So for 8 years after leaving the Air Force, I was also a volunteer reservist. So I still had my full medical category. And then right towards the end, unfortunately, I had to have quite severe back surgery. I had 2 discs replaced in my spine. Oh. And they therefore took away my ejection seat capacity. Oh. And a friend of mine who was flying, Typhoon at the time, he said, "Oh man, come on up. I'll, sort out getting a trip for you, especially because you're in the reserve still." And I was like, "Yeah, great." And then I was like, "I've lost my medical category. I'm not allowed." And it was just like, the timing was really annoying. So I'd love to have had a go in that one. But the F-35 looks pretty phenomenal, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to have a go in that one?
Yeah, it's like a flying iPhone, isn't it?
It really is. But I love it when they said, I was watching the program and they just said, "Yeah, it doesn't seem to be working. Like, just turn it all off and turn it back on." I was like, my goodness, it's just like our laptops.
Yeah, just restart. Yeah. But you briefly mentioned that you did some speaking, but you're currently a motivational speaker. Can you tell us about this and how you got into it?
Yeah, I love it. I really love it. And this is why I'm so sad in the middle of lockdown not to be able to get on the stage and do this, because it's quite humbling when you get invited to some of these events,
Yeah. And
you really see that you can make a difference. It started off going into schools initially, and then hilariously, I'll tell you the real story. I was at a dinner party, and I was telling the story about, we were a bit tipsy, about being shot at in Iraq. And someone at the dinner party said, "Oh my goodness, this would make a fantastic keynote speech for an event I've got coming up. Would you speak at Brocket Hall in Hertfordshire for us? 20 minutes. It's all about risk and decision making under pressure." I was like, well, that story works. And so I did that for them, and they said, well, that's brilliant. And I thought, this is really good. And I'm quite a confident person, and I do quite enjoy performing, but I also love, I'm a very, very extrovert character, and I love meeting new people all the time. So it really fit into a perfect, job for me to do. And I never would have thought I'd make a career out of doing it, but I've literally traveled, I think it's over 30 countries now all over the world doing it. My diary, is almost fully booked for the key months, so October, November, March. Yeah. I'm almost fully booked to travel all over the world, and I genuinely love it. But I still desperately try to get into schools, because I do quite a lot of sessions for Inspiring the Future, which is a charity which tries to get role models into schools, just to try to raise the profile of different careers that perhaps were more thought of being more gender specific in the past. But as a job, when you can make a difference, I think the best one I've ever done was I was speaking at this big event, huge event, 4,500 people, you know, amazing event, and I loved it. And then the following week, I also spoke at a school that was in special measures not that far away in Southampton. And the following week, I was speaking to a chief executive group. It was a really intimate session. One of the questions they asked me was, what's been the biggest achievement so far this year, Mandy? And I thought, oh, it's got to be the speaking at this huge event. And I thought about it and I thought, no, it was an email I got from the head teacher who had this real problematic girl who was incredibly intelligent. She had turned up and at my speech, and I could see her on the front row. She sort of got purplish hair, quite a lot of piercings, you know, and she was determined to not fulfill her potential. She wanted to go and not do her A-levels. She wanted to go with all her friends to college and do the hairdressing courses and beautician's courses. Anyway, she sat and listened to my speech, and she went up to the headmistress, and I'm going to remove the expletives because the headmistress actually quoted the expletives in her. Oh, wow. This girl came up to me and she went, do you know what, miss? If she can do it, then so can I. So I've decided I'm going to do the course at a college that you keep on telling me to do. So I'm going to do my A-levels. And you know what? If you can just get one student to think about things, to perhaps change their pathway or the route that they're going to take, then to be me, that is massively, you know, inspiring for me as well. So not just a lovely career to be able to go and do what I do, but if you can make a difference to people and change the track of their lives, then that's pretty powerful stuff. So moving on nicely, so where can we actually find yourself online? Do you have a website, social media?
Yeah, so
like I'm on, it's just Hickson Limited, so hicksonltd.com. And I'm on LinkedIn. If anyone wants to connect to me on LinkedIn, you know, I'd be delighted to connect to you. I'm on Twitter at Mandy Hickson, and I'm on Instagram, Mandy Hickson Speaker, and I'm on Facebook as Mandy Hickson Speaker as well. So yeah, lots of opportunities to get in touch, and yeah, I post lots of bits and bobs about what I've been up to, but also, you know, great articles or nice clips. If there's some interesting footage, you know, I'll pop it on there as well. So yeah, it's great.
Well, that's brilliant. So yeah, I'm guessing for myself and our viewers, we're wishing you all the luck with the book. And yeah, thank you for joining us. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. Lovely to meet you too. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mandy.